The stars had forgotten humanity long ago, or perhaps it was humanity that forgot the stars. The derelict ship coasted in silence, half buried in the glacial dust of a barren moon. Its metal skin had long been scorched and torn, its hull pitted by micrometeorites and time. But deep inside its frozen corpse, lights flickered, faint, dot. But human. Commander Uan Vale's breath fogged the inside of his cracked helmet. He stared through the icy viewport at the old Earth insignia, faded blue marble flanked by olive branches, a symbol not seen in over 1,000 years. This wasn't on any chart, whispered Zaya, the youngest member of the recon team. Her voice trembled through the comms. It's Terran, but there's no record of any colony here. It's older than the Exodus, Unan replied, brushing frost from a rusted data console. Maybe even older than the fall. He didn't say what they were all thinking. What if this ship predated the silence? The silence, that yawning, unexplained era when every human voice in the stars simply stopped. 1,000 years without contact, without answer. Some said humanity had died. Others believed they'd ascended, but no one knew. The galactic archives had only fragments, broken signals, flickers, rumors. They moved through long-dead corridors, lined with faded banners and ancient tech interfaces they didn't recognize. It was like walking through a graveyard built by gods. Then something moved. A flicker of blue light darted between consoles. Did you see that? Zaya said, her voice sharp. I saw it, said Rorik, the team's mechanic. He knelt beside a shattered AI cradle. This thing's dead, but it might still be dreaming. Uan knelt beside it, wiping off dust from the plaque bolted to the frame. The name read ESS Hesperia. He knew that name from a file buried so deep in restricted history he'd once been court-martialed just for trying to read it. Hesperia was legend. A lost expedition that was supposed to have left Sol System during the Great Dimming when the sun itself began to flicker. No one knew what happened to her until now. A sudden hum rattled through the floor, lights flared, cold metal groaned, like a beast awakening. What did you touch? Rorik asked, backing away from the console. Nothing, Uan whispered. She woke herself up. The ship's interior lights began pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. A synthetic voice crackled from the walls, fragmented and low. Crew status unknown. Stasis breach. Timeline compromised. Initiating. Memory core playback. The recon team froze. A hologram flickered to life before them, grainy, distorted. A woman in an ancient Earth uniform, her face weary but proud, appeared. Her eyes stared right through them as she began to speak. If you're seeing this, she said, then we failed. The team exchanged glances. We tried to outrun the dark, the hologram continued, her voice shaking. We tried to carry Earth's last hope to the stars. But the stars were not waiting for us. They had already forgotten us. And so we became something else. What does she mean? Zaya whispered. The hologram's face distorted, static, then clarity again. Do not trust what you see. Memory is not truth. We buried it for a reason. Suddenly, the walls echoed with a scream, not from the speakers behind them. A human scream. Uan spun, weapon drawn, nothing, just the echo of their own breathing. But then Rorik shouted, over here. They ran to the cry. A sealed stasis pod, buried under a collapsed section of floor. The glass was cracked. frosted from within. Inside, a human, still breathing, alive. That's impossible, Zaya said, checking the life signs. Vitals are stable, cryo integrity. Intact. He's been under for 1,000 years. Rorik stared at the face behind the ice. He looks like us. No, Ewan said slowly, staring at the frozen man's uniform. He looks like before us. And then eyes opened. The man inside the pod looked at them through the crack in the glass and smiled. They stumbled back as systems all over the ship began activating in a frenzy, doorways unlocking, maps unfolding, security systems booting up. The ship didn't just wake up, it recognized them, and it was glad they were home. The hologram resumed. But this time, the voice was different. The woman was gone, replaced by a child's voice, curious, innocent, and far too real. You came back, it said. We waited so long. Do you remember us? Then the entire ship shook violently, as if something huge had just landed on the moon's surface above them. Proximity alert, shouted Rorik. Zaya's face turned pale. Something's outside. It's not in our system. The voice of the child, too close. They followed us into the dark. They're not supposed to be here. You must choose. Ewan looked at the pod. The man inside was gone, vanished, and the only thing left inside, the glass, was a single message, scrawled in blood-red letters on the frost. The doors behind them slammed shut with a deafening clang. Emergency red lights blinked across the walls, and the childlike AI voice whispered again, this time with a trembling edge. They're here. We have to hide. Yuan spun, weapon raised. But the corridor was empty. Just the flickering of ancient panels and the low hiss of the moon's atmosphere seeping through microfractures. Rorik ran to the controls, trying to override the lockdown. Everything's been rerouted, he growled. We're locked into some kind of emergency sequence. Defensive protocol, maybe. But this ship's rewriting its own code. Zaya backed up against the wall, her breath shallow. He was just there, in the pod. That man, his eyes. He knew me. I've never seen him before, but I swear to I felt like I knew him. Unan said nothing. His fingers brushed the frost-covered message, again remember the stars. His heart pounded, not just from fear, but from the pull of something old, something buried in his mind. A song, a face, a memory he didn't remember living. The child's voice echoed down the corridor again, now louder, now fractured. You left us. You left us. You said you'd return. Why did it take so long? Zaya stepped forward. Who are you? I don't remember, the voice said sadly. But I remember you. Suddenly, a second scream echoed through the ship, not human, not natural. A sound like metal being torn by bone. The sound of something ancient waking up angry. Rorik cursed. Something just landed on the dorsal hull. Mass signatures, enormous, definitely not ours. Something's walking on the exterior. Get us to the command bridge, Yuan said. Now the ship responded before Rorik could. Lights lit up the floor, guiding their path, as if it wanted them there. They followed the route, winding through collapsed bulkheads, frozen gardens, shattered cryo-halls, and display cases filled with relics of a forgotten Earth, a cracked child's toy, a rusted Terran coin, a military commendation in a language none of them could read but felt oddly familiar. Then came the mural. It spanned an entire corridor, wall-faded paint on aged steel. It showed Earth, pristine and blue, surrounded by a fleet of silver ships. Below, words had been scorched into the metal. We remember, so they will live. Zaya reached out and touched it, then staggered back, clutching her head. I saw something, she gasped. I was there. On Earth, but it was burning. We were evacuating. A man, the one from the pod, he held my hand and said, "No matter what happens, remember the stars." That's where it came from. The phrase, "It's not a warning, it's a promise." The AI chimed again. "He told all of you. You made the vow. You were the last circle." Aaron's blood froze. "The what?" "You swore to return one day," said the voice. "To remember what was lost, to wake us." They reached the bridge. The doors hissed open without a touch. Inside, a massive panoramic viewport showed the stars bright, unforgiving, and something else. A massive ship, dark and spined, descending from orbit. It pulsed with a sickly green glow, its tendrils already latching onto the moon's surface. Rorik's mouth went dry. "I've never seen a ship like that." "Neither has anyone," Yuan said, "because no one who sees it survives." The voice whispered again. "They hunted us across the void. They are the memory eaters. They erase, they unmake. Why you left us here, hidden, forgotten, so they couldn't find us." Suddenly, alarms blared. "Hull breach, forward cargo bay. Multiple life forms detected." A projection flickered to life in the center of the bridge. A woman this time, different. From the first, her eyes were scarred, one arm missing, but she stood tall. "Captain Mira Quinn," the hologram said. "Hesperia, Protocol, Alpha. If you're seeing this, you're either the last circle or you're not. If you're not, you'll burn. If you are, remember your purpose." "We didn't run from Earth, we ran from them," Zaya whispered. "She said last circle again." The projection zoomed to show a diagram of 7 people in a circle, hands joined, each holding a fragment of an old Earth star map. Then the projection split the map, broken into 7 pieces, scattered across systems marked redacted. UN stepped forward. "She's talking about us." Rorik stared at him. "What are you saying?" "We're not who we think we are. This wasn't a recon mission. We didn't find this place by accident. We were led back, pulled here." "You're telling me we've been mind-wiped?" Rorik growled. "That this was all some kind of cycle?" UN didn't answer. The ship shuddered again. A scream of steel. Then silence. The child's voice returned, a whisper now filled with dread. "One of them is already inside." Zaya's eyes widened. Then came a knock, a slow, deliberate knock, from the door behind them. Just 3 soft knocks, nothing else. Eren raised his weapon. "That's not how they move." Rorik pulled a scanner. "No life sign. Wait, that can't be." He turned the device toward Uan. "It's you, the life form they detected. It's you." Uan stared at him, then at the door. And then, somehow, he knew. He had been here before. And the thing on the other side of that door wasn't coming to kill him. It was coming to remind him. The door opened, and Uan saw himself, older, covered in ash, wearing the same uniform as the man from the pod. The older Uan simply said, "No time. They've breached containment. The map fragment Wuna's inside you. We buried it in your spine before memory lock. You're the key." Behind him, the stars shifted. The enemy ship began to pulse. The countdown began, and the older UN whispered, "You have 6 hours before they rewrite this moon from existence. Either remember who you are, or watch it all vanish again." And then he collapsed dead before he hit the floor, carved into his back. With brutal precision were the same 3 words: "Remember the stars." No one spoke for a long time. Unan stared down at his own corpse, or at least the man who wore his face, bore his voice, and knew things only he should have known. Blood pooled beneath the body. Zaya knelt slowly, reaching toward the carved message along his back. "It's deeper than just words," she murmured. "These cuts, they're patterned, a data cipher, DNA-coded encryption maybe. Maybe even a fragment of the map." Rorik backed away, eyes wide. "I don't care what it is. That was you, Uan. What the hell does that make you?" Uan didn't answer. His mind was unraveling in threads. Images flashed behind his eyes: his first mission as a cadet, his promotion to commander, his first planetary drop. But behind all those, now, something older pulsed. A voice he'd never heard but knew. "We are not meant to be remembered. We are meant to return." Then the child's voice spoke, again, no longer soft, no longer human. "Fragment confirmed. First star, key activated." The entire ship groaned. Like a living thing, the bridge's interface burst into light, maps and records spiraling into view. A galactic chart unfolded, systems once long dead, now highlighted in blinking gold. Zaya blinked. These systems, these were wiped from the archives, scoured, whole planetary logs deleted. But this map still remembers them, Un whispered, "because we made this map." Then something changed. The enemy ship outside the massive spined monolith began to fracture, not from weapons, from within. Jagged pulses of light erupted from its hull, and a deep keening filled the moon's airless void. It was screaming, and the child voice echoed in terror. "They see the key. They see you. You must run." Suddenly, the ship opened, a tunnel floor panels retracting, revealing a grav-sled chamber below. Ancient, still humming with unfamiliar but unmistakably Terran tech, Rorik pointed. "You think that leads to another part of the ship?" "No," said Unan. "It leads deeper into the moon." Zaya squinted. "Wait, this moon isn't natural. Look at the curvature of the walls. This was built. It's a shell." They descended into the grav tunnel, the ship sealing itself behind them. As the grav sled zipped silently downward, the walls around them pulsed with images, fragments of memory embedded in the alloy. Children playing in zero-G fields, a family planting trees in starlit biodomes, an old man whispering stories into a child's ear, and then a war, explosions, screams, Terran fleets falling, a planet torn apart from orbit, and always, in the distance, them dark, writhing shapes that walked like shadows and fed on remembrance. Zaya gripped Aaron's shoulder. "What were they?" "I don't know," he whispered, "but they took something from us, something we couldn't afford to lose." The grav sled came to a halt. Before them stood a vast chamber, a cavern of crystal and steel, lined with towering vaults, and in the center, a monolith, black, seamless, floating inches above the floor. Carved across its face were 7 sigils. One was now glowing gold. The second pulsed faintly. Zaya stepped forward, staring at it. "This is a memory anchor, the real kind, old Earth tech. The kind the Exodus fleets used to hold on to identity during long voyages. They encoded us," Rorik said slowly. "Cut up our map, buried pieces of it inside our bodies, then erased our minds." Ewan looked at the monolith. "To protect the knowledge from them, from the memory eaters. The child's voice echoed again, strange now, deeper, more ancient. We are the echo-born. You are the rememberers, but you forgot. The monolith shimmered. Images burst from its 7 figures in silhouette, standing in a circle, arms outstretched. One of them was unmistakably Uan, another, Zaya. The others were blurred, forgotten, but in the image, the circle was broken. One figure stood apart, a shadow among light. Rorik whispered, "There was a traitor." The projection zoomed on the shadowed figure. The face came into view. It was Rorik. He backed away, eyes wide. "That's not me. That's not Tai. Don't remember. You were the leak," the voice said gently. "The others trusted you, but you broke. You led them in, and then you were reset." Zaya raised her gun. "Uan, he doesn't remember. We were all wiped. He might still be." "Wait," Unan said, grabbing her arm. "Look." The sigil representing Rorik glowed briefly, then went dark. A fracture spread across it. "His peace is corrupted," the AI whispered. "Too damaged to retrieve. The memory is lost. For now." Then the entire monolith pulsed once, and a new doorway opened. Beyond it, stairs carved from obsidian spiraled downward into a red-lit abyss. "They found us," the voice said. "You must descend before they unmake this place." At the bottom, the second fragment. "But beware." Zaya turned to Uan. "Of what?" The voice replied, "Down there you'll find what you were willing to forget, and what you condemned to die." Yuan looked down the stairs, his heart thundering. He didn't know what lay below, but he could feel it, like a memory pressing against the edge of his skull. Something was waiting, something human, and something furious. Then the lights above exploded. The enemy had breached the upper decks, and the first of them began to descend the shaft, after them shapes of black mist and bone, dragging the sound of screams with every movement. As the stairwell sealed behind them, a single sentence echoed into the dark. "To remember is to awaken." But some memories should have stayed dead. The descent was unlike anything they'd known. Each step downward stripped away another layer of silence from the past. As if memory itself had wakened now, it pressed upon them. The walls of the stairwell pulsed faintly, like veins feeding. Something alive, something ancient. With the echo of footsteps long vanished, the further they descended, the more the atmosphere changed. Gravity distorted. Time began to ripple. Zaya's HUD stuttered, rebooted, and showed a date from 12,000 years ago. Rorik's arm trembled uncontrollably, the skin along his wrist crawling with strange golden symbols that weren't there moments before. And Yuan began to remember. It came in flashes, a woman's voice. "Don't let them take it from you." A boy's laughter under Earth's pale moon, then fire, the sky cracking open, and above it all, the black teeth of a monstrous ship devouring stars. The stairs ended. They emerged into a vast chamber, spherical and humming, walls made from a material neither metal nor stone. At its center, suspended in anti-grav field, was a second monolith, but this one wasn't whole. It was broken, cracked across the center. Its sigils flickered, glitching between Terran and something else, and beneath it, kneeling, unmoving, was a woman, human, skin pale, veins aglow. Her hair floated around her, as if submerged in invisible fluid, and in her chest, a hollow had been carved out perfectly shaped to match the monolith's missing shard. Zaya gasped. "She's one of us." "She was," Rorik corrected grimly. The child voice returned. older now, almost grieving. Her name was Alice. She volunteered to carry the second fragment. We buried it inside her heart. But the cost was unexpected. She's alive, Uen said. I can feel it, barely. Zaya stepped toward her hand, trembling. If the fragment is in her, we can't remove it without killing her, Rorik finished. Suddenly, Elis's eyes snapped open. They glowed gold. You came back, she rasped. Her voice was glass and ash. You left me. Yuen stepped forward. Alice, we didn't know. We were erased. She laughed, broken, bitter sound, erased. No, you ran. When they breached the memory anchor, you shattered the circle and scattered the fragments. I volunteered. You promised to come back. Zaya knelt beside her. We're trying to fix it. We have the first fragment. We lead yours. Elise's gaze darkened. Then you'll take what's left of me, too. Rorik stepped forward. If we don't, the memory eaters will erase this place. Everyone, everything, including you. I died, waiting for you, she whispered. Yuen knelt. And we're here now. If there's another way. But the monolith pulsed violently, the crack widening, and from the walls, shadows bled into the room. The memory eaters, formless at first, then limbs, faces, echoes of the dead. The air screamed. They're inside, Alice said. You waited too long. Ewan gritted his teeth. Then give us the fragment. Let us end this. But Alice smiled sadly. You don't understand, Commander. You already took it when you fled, when you ran. You carved it from me yourself. A jagged memory tore into Aaron's mind, his hands covered in blood. Alice screaming, his own voice, trembling as he whispered, Forgive me. And then Rorik lunged. He drew his weapon and fired at the monolith. The blast struck the crack, widening it. The sigils scrambled. Alarms wailed. Stop, Zaya cried, grabbing him. What are you doing? But it was too late. A voice rose, not Alice, not the child. A third voice, deep, cold, inhuman. The betrayer awakens. Rorik's eyes rolled back. He spasmed, dropped to his knees, screaming. Yuen grabbed him. Rorik, fight it. But Rorik looked up with alien eyes. You never fixed me, he said, with a voice not his own. You buried your sins, but memory always returns. His arm transforms flesh becoming metal, veins turning black. The voice boomed again. We are oblivion. Then he struck. The chamber erupted into chaos. Zaya opened fire, but Rorik moved like lightning, shattering her weapon. Unon tackled him, driving a blade into the mechanical limb. Rorik didn't bleed. Instead, he laughed. We are inside you all. We are your memories. You remembered the stars, but forgot the dark between them. Then Alice screamed, not in fear, but defiance. She rose. Light burst from her chest. The fragment alive, radiant, blinding. She grabbed Rorik's head and pulled him close. Remember who you were. And with one final scream, she detonated. Light consumed the room. Unan was thrown backward. Zaya hit the wall. The monolith shattered. And the fragment, the second key, burned itself into Aaron's neural implant. Silence. Rorik was gone. So was Alice. Only dust remained. The room darkened. A single sigil glowed on Aaron's skin, and the voice returned. Second fragment integrated. 4 hours remain. Enemy assimilation reaching 12% planetary cortex. Descent to third anchor required. Zaya coughed, leaning against the wall. Yuen, what now? He stood slowly, eyes distant. Now we remember the rest. But in the flickering light just behind him, a shadow moved, one with his face, watching, waiting, and smiling. The chamber sealed behind them with the sound of finality, stone grinding against stone, the hiss of old airlocks engaging like the exhale of a dying god. Owen and Zaya stood in the red gloom, bruised and silent, the echo of Elise's sacrifice still burning behind their eyes. Rorik was gone, not dead, taken, and somewhere deeper still, something worse than memory stirred. They didn't speak as they descended the next spiral, their boots falling on metal steps worn smooth by centuries. The air here was thicker, not just with dust, but with presence. Every wall, every step, every glimmer of dim light felt like an eye, watching them from just behind the veil. Then Zaya broke the silence. "You killed her," she said, voice low. "Before the wipe, she begged you, and you tore it out of her." Uwan didn't answer, because he remembered now, Alice bleeding, her eyes full of betrayal. The memory of his own voice, shaking as he whispered, "If we don't break the circle, they'll find it all. I'm sorry." He'd carved the fragment from her chest with his own hands. Zaya turned to him. "Why didn't you tell me? You remembered?" "I remembered what I had to," he said. "No," she replied. "You remembered what you chose to." The tunnel opened abruptly. They stepped into a new chamber, this one smaller, lined with mirrored panels and crystalline spheres suspended in liquid magnetism. The air shimmered with neural frequencies. "A hall of mind. The third anchor," Yuen muttered. "This isn't a place, it's a person." Then came the voice. It was neither child, nor ghost, nor machine. It was his. "Welcome home, Commander." A hologram blinked to life before them. Unbut, older, colder, eyes like scorched glass. He stood tall in ceremonial armor from a forgotten Earth defense. Corzi 7 stars across the breastplate. Zaya drew her weapon. "Is that another one of you?" But the hologram didn't turn. It looked directly at Yuen. "You made this copy during the Great Sundering," it said, "to preserve the final decision, in case you ever doubted again." Uan swallowed. "What decision?" The hologram smiled faintly. "To end Earth." Zaya stiffened. "What?" The hologram waved a hand. A projection bloomed Earth, once blue and vibrant, now scorched, dead, shattered countenance, ash in orbit. They had breached the Orion curtain. Earth would have fallen in hours. "You activated protocol, Final Dawn. You ordered the burning of our cradle." "No," Zaya whispered. "That's not possible." "It wasn't destruction," the hologram said gently. "It was erasure. You cleansed the memory of Earth from the galactic grid. You severed every thread, every archive, every song, every story. That was the only way to hide us from the memory eaters." The image faded. Zaya turned to Uwan, her face pale. "You made us forget Earth." Uwan nodded slowly. "Because it was the only way we could survive." Suddenly, alarms rang out. The mirrored walls turned black. A scream echoed, not from outside but from inside Zaya. She clutched her skull and fell to her knees, convulsing. The hologram pulsed. "She carries the third key," it said, "buried deeper than any fragment, inside the pain." Zaya screamed again, then stopped. She looked up slowly. Her eyes were no longer hers. "Hello, brother," she said. But the voice wasn't Zaya's. It was familiar. Uwan froze. "Rill?" Zaya, not adore. The being inside her did your twin. The last of the circle. You don't remember it all, not yet. But I do. I never wanted to forget. Uan stepped back. You died. No, she smiled. You tried to kill me when I objected, when I refused to erase Earth. So you buried my mind inside hers. Clever, cowardly. Zaya's body spasmed again. She screamed and collapsed. When she looked up this time, her own voice returned shaking, terrified. Uan, what was that? Who is he? I think Uan said slowly, that was me, the version of me who wouldn't forget. The part I tried to kill. The hologram flickered. The third anchor is active. Fragment stored. Core memory unlocked. A glowing sphere floated from one of the crystal mirrors and embedded itself into Aaron's chest. His HUD flickered coordinates flooded into view. Star systems lost for millennia. Access codes, names and among them, a word he hadn't seen in 1,000 years. Soul. Suddenly, the chamber began to vibrate. The monolith cracked, the hologram shattered, and from the shadows above, the memory eaters descended. This time, they didn't look like monsters. They looked like people. Zaya gasped. Those are us. Hundreds of them. Uan, Zaire, Rorik, Alice, faces from the past. Replicas, ghosts, all walking silently, eyes hollow. Each a memory stolen, corrupted, turned into weapon. They surrounded the platform. Uan raised his weapon. They're not real. They were, Zaya said. They were versions of us. And then one of them stepped forward. She looked at Uan and whispered, you never came back from me. Aaron's hand trembled. He saw her now, his mother, a face lost to the wipe. She stepped forward and reached for him and Zaya pulled him away just as the illusion shattered, revealing a twisted monstrosity beneath. They ran. The tunnel collapsed behind them. Shadows in pursuit. Their HUDs buzzed. Countdown. 2 hours, 59 minutes and 12 seconds. Only 3 hours remained before the memory cortex of the moon was overwritten. Forever. As they fled through the collapsing corridors, Zaya asked breathlessly, what happens if they succeed? Uan didn't look back. Then, we lose everything. Not just Earth, not just the truth. He looked up at the stars through a crumbling skylight. We lose the right to be remembered. The corridor twisted as if reality itself was resisting them. Lights flickered like dying stars, and gravity lurched unpredictably with every step. Behind them, the sound of crawling, the skitter of claws on metal, of memory eaters, imitating human breath, followed, closer, louder, never pausing. Zaya's steps faltered. I can't. My head, it's full of voices. Uan grabbed her arm, pulled her forward. They're not voices. They're memories trying to reattach. You're starting to remember things that were never yours, or were once yours, before they were fed to the dark. Zaya stumbled. A child on Mars. My son. Uan didn't reply, because he remembered. Him too. And the memory wasn't hers. It was his. The core was doing what it was built to, de-reconnecting. Fragments, restoring erased lives, but the process was bleeding them together. Their identities, their guilt, their pain. The line between who they were and who they used to be blurred with every second. At the next threshold, a sealed door stood before them. On it was a single symbol, a star with 7 points, the last circle's sigil. Beneath it, an inscription, written in an ancient Terran dialect, long since outlawed. To remember is to return. To return is to risk it all. Un placed his palm on the scanner. The door opened. They stepped into darkness. The chamber inside was impossibly vast, an inverted dome with no ceiling, its walls covered in shimmering data vines, pulsing with ancient neural activity. At the center hovered a crystalline structure, unlike anything else on the moon, the original anchor, the root of the entire Hesperia memory core. 7 sockets surrounded it, 5 now glowing, 2 still dark. Zaya approached slowly. This is it. The place we built to preserve our identity, to hide our truth from the things that hunted it. The child Day's voice returned, faint, fractured, no longer coherent. A whisper beneath static. Final sequence, not enough. Breach imminent. Uan stepped forward. If we activate the core now, can it restore the full memory chain? No, said a voice behind them. They turned and saw Rorik, or what was left of him. Half his face was still human. The rest was metal, bone, pulsing with green-black circuitry. His eyes wept nanites. His voice was layered his, and something else. You need all 7 fragments, he said, and only 6 of you are left. 6? Zaya asked, stepping back. Who's the 7th? Uan knew. He looked down at the floor, beneath the anchor, lined with dust, with scarring from flame, and with bones. I killed him, Uan whispered. The 7th before the wipe. The only one who remembered where Earth truly was. Zaya's voice cracked. Then it's over. No, Rorik rasped. There's one chance, one final failsafe. The core was designed with redundancy. Tuning stared at him. What kind? Rorik smiled through the pain. A living record. One that can become the 7th, if it survives the strain. You mean me? Rorik nodded. But it'll kill you. No human can carry more than 1 key. You already carry 3. Zaya grabbed Aaron's arm. No, there has to be another way. There isn't, Rorik said. We made sure. Then he collapsed. Smoke hissed from his chest. His spine burned white-hot and snapped apart as he hit the floor. His body turned to ashdot. The memory eaters would arrive in minutes. The core's light dimmed. Zaya stood frozen. What happens if we activate it with only 6 keys? Un answered without looking at her. It restores part of our legacy, but not enough to stop them. They'll still rewrite us, still consume the truth. And if you do it, Unan turned to her, then it all comes back. Every life, every sacrifice. Earth, the circle, the war, the last stand. Zaya blinked tears. You'll die. He nodded. She stepped toward him. Let me take one of your keys. Split the load. He looked at her and smiled sadly. You already did. Then he kissed her forehead and walked into the light. The anchor glowed violently. The chamber quaked. Above them, reality tore the moon's cortex, unraveling under pressure. The memory eaters breached the outer shell. Shadows poured through. The ceiling dot, but the core pulsed once twice and Unan screamed. The final key embedded into him like a sun collapsing in on itself. His skin burned gold. His eyes turned white dot, and then he remembered everything. The fall of Earth, the evacuation, the vote to erase the homeworld from all record, Elise's tears, Rorik's betrayal, Zaya's hand in his as they made the final promise, and Rilhis, twins standing alone in the flame, refusing to forget. He remembered the pain, the joy, the truth. Then came the explosion. A wave of light blasted from the core, vaporizing the shadows. The memory eaters screamed and vanished. Zaya rose from where she'd been thrown. The chamber was silent now. Un lay at the center. Unmoving. Smoke curled from his chest. She crawled to him, heartbreaking, and pulled him into her lap. He opened one eye, barely. Did it work? He whispered. Zaya nodded. They're gone. Una smiled. Then his body dissolved into golden dust, and in the dust, a star map ignited across the chamber walls. It showed everything Earth, the lost colonies, the names of every soul who had ever fought to remember. Zaya wept, but behind her, something stirred. A figure stepped from the shadows, a man, older, his face weathered but unmistakably Ewan, and he said just one thing: time to go home. Zaya stood frozen, her breath caught in her throat. The man before her looked exactly like Ewan, only older, with time and memory, with eyes that had seen everything the rest of them had fought so hard to forget. He was calm, but beneath that calmness was gravity, a weight that bent the air around him. You died, she whispered. I did, he replied. But this place, it's not just a vault, it's a cradle, a circuit. The original me died to preserve the keys. This is what the core made from what was left behind. He stepped forward, and the light from the star map danced across his armor, 7 golden sigils glowing along the collar. The last circle reborn, or at least what was left of it. The memory of me, he continued, is alive again, because you remembered. I didn't want to forget any of it. That's why you survived, he said gently. The core chose who could carry the truth and who could not. She walked to the center of the chamber, where the ashes of Uan still shimmered like scattered stars. Above them, the star map continued to update, projecting waypoints, coordinates, and names that hadn't been spoken in over a millennium. Then something strange happened. The chamber began to collapse. Upward panels folded away like petals, peeling from the center of a flower. The ceiling disintegrated, revealing a hollow column that led straight up through the moon's crustland. Beyond that, the stars. For the first time, real starlight bathed the core. But it wasn't just any stars. It was Earth's sky, blue, bright, familiar. Zaya gasped. No, that's not possible. Earth was wiped. The older UN looked up. Earth was hidden. From us. From them. Buried inside a cloaked Dyson shell made from Sol's own debris field. We didn't just wipe it, we folded it out of galactic alignment. A planetary memory lock. You mean Earth's still there? She breathed. The star map flared and realigned. One single point pulsed at the center. Sol 1, status veiled. Protection field. Breach imminent. Zaya's chest tightened. They're going for it. They know we've activated the core. The memory eaters never wanted our extinction. They wanted our truth. To erase Earth was to rob them of power. Now that Earth is no longer hidden, suddenly the platform shook. A massive tremor rippled through the moon's crust. They're inbound, said older Uan. The last swarm, a pure memory consumption fleet. They'll reach Earth in 8 hours. Zaya stared at him. Not enough time. Not if we take a standard ship, he agreed. Then he pointed beyond the crumbling chamber. A hidden door opened. Inside a dock, a single vessel, sleek, silver, unmistakably Terran, but far beyond any current tech. That's Hesperia Prime, he said. The original built with Orion fold drives. one of only 2 ships fast enough to reach Earth before they do, and we're taking it. She followed him down the dock as the structure above continued to collapse. Behind them, the moon's core began to flicker, its job finished. The vault had delivered its memory. Now the storm was coming to erase everything else. As they boarded the ship, Zaya paused. "You said one of 2 ships. Where's the other?" He didn't answer. Instead, he activated the navigation system, and 2 destinations appeared on the HUD. Primary, Sol 1 Earth, Veil Breach, projected in 8 hours, 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Secondary, Eden Drift, status unknown, signal detected. Zaya frowned. "What's Eden Drift?" He stared out the viewport, silent for a moment. Then he said, "The place we left the other half of the circle." She blinked. "There are more of us." "There were always more of us," he said. 7 remembered, 7 scattered. But hundreds chose to sleep until the final call. The Eden Drift was the contingency. A floating colony of mind-locked soldiers kept in null space, waiting for Earth's signal to rise again. "And now it's lit," she whispered. He nodded. "We don't just have to stop the memory eaters. We have to wake humanity up." As Hesperia Prime launched from the collapsing moon, streaking into the void with a sonic boom that shattered what was left of the structure below, the view ahead opened a wide black tapestry of stars, and at its center, a familiar glimmer. Blue, fragile, forgotten. Earth, the last true memory, and from the black behind them, like a great tidal wave of broken dreams, the enemy came. A wall of ships, unlike anything recorded in galactic histories, swarming like ants, warping light, feeding on every echo of human thought that hadn't been locked behind memory anchors. Worlds fell silent in their wake. Civilizations collapsed, but now, for the first time in 1,000 years, humanity had remembered who they were. UN, reborn, stood tall at the ship's helm, Zaya at his side, both silent, both ready. The timer ticked down, 7 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds, and then he said, not to her, not to himself, but to all the stars watching, "We remember the stars. Now it's time they remember us."